Today, it's sealed Ikoria on LRMTG. But first, ChillPoint.
Whoops.
We can advertise things that are coming up after us. That's
Agreed.
fine. Yeah.
That's true.
How's it going, everybody?
Hi. Welcome to ChillPoint. Hi, everybody. I can see you in chat.
I was just mentioning in chat there that that song, which is from the Road Quest soundtrack, it's called Northern Majesty by the great Big Giant Circles. Definitely, it really evokes that DS9 intro.
Sure does.
Which is, I think, one of the best intros. So I have no problem with that. So, if this
Everyone
is
got their tea,
yeah,
coffee,
various
I've already-
beverages.
I've already
mate,
had 2 cups of coffee today, so I think we're off of coffee just for now.
bowl of cream of wheat.
Oh, I got Weetabix at the store because it was on sale, and I was trying to buy 2 weeks worth of groceries at once. And okay, and you know, when you're sort of like trying to do like this military precision shop and like you're stressed out because it's like, what if I forget something? All the aisles are one way. I've got to like loop the store to go back because I forgot carrots, right? Like, so I was like, Weetabix, I'll eat that. And I was like, I never eat cereal. Why did I buy this? I guess I'll have a bowl of that after this is over. I just felt pressured to make a choice.
We need just like ASMR cereal slurping stream.
I'm actually pretty. I'm kind of jealous that your local grocery store decided to do that because mine certainly didn't. When you go to Superstore, it's every man for themselves.
Oh
right?
God.
They have and I wish they had actually laid out because we were there when it was not even like packed. It was just like, reasonably busy, and people are just passing each other left and the right, and nobody has masks on. We don't even have masks yet, and it was just like this is starting to like
make you nervous.
Yeah, it's poking my I'm getting nerves of some of it, and fucking kids running around on their Heelys just scooting past you and shit, and I'm like, oh. You shouldn't be here by yourself. You have a parent who's teaching you to be this irresponsible, aren't you?
Well, Bijou, I can tell you that if you go to Thrifties, they make you line up outside the store. Nobody goes there with basically everybody was shopping by themselves. I only do I don't take Penelope grocery shopping with me anymore because I just don't need that kind of stress. You had to line up to get into the store. A bunch of people had masks. They sanitized all the carts before you got to take them. They had hand sanitizer. Like a station, a pump at the door. So I was able to sanitize my hands before picking up all my produce and stuff like that. It was great. The whole store's laid out in a one-way grid. They've reorganized the produce department. So you sort of do a snake all the way through and you basically get to see everything.
Yeah.
So it's so as long as you shop slowly and they space you out of the store. So you do have time to be like, all right, I want that. I want that. I want that. They ask you not to handle things. If you touch it, put it in your damn cart. Right? It's great. Obviously, I don't assume that everybody is being that responsible, but I can say that Thrifties is great, and you can make a donation to the local food bank as you're paying.
Nice.
They're very expensive. That's the downside.
Heather and I, Superstore keeps their carts inside, but also outside. And you never know if they have carts inside, so it's just grab one outside because you see a cart, you're like, put the token in and grab it. And so we walked up to it and we're like, okay, Heather, last time I did this, I just touched the handle with the sleeves of my cart or sleeves of my coat. And then just that's what I was doing the entire time. She's like, I have hand sanitizer and a spray. So we spray down the handle. Everything's great. We undo the cart. We walk up to the front. There is a security guard there because there are. And then there's a dude who's standing there with a big spray bottle and a rag. And he's kind of not fucking saying anything, but he's kind of doing this offer thing, and everyone who's walking up to him is like, "No, I've already touched the handle. You see, I don't know why you're at the front offering to clean the handles of the thing that I've already touched it, and now have the COVID. I don't know why aren't you cleaning this shit and letting everyone know that you've already cleaned this shit, but."
Yeah, go to
Maybe they have, and they're just not saying, "Don't worry, we clean all the handles. We're just offering to do it again if you want." Like,
Beige. I've worked at Superstore. They haven't.
no, they haven't.
No, I switched to shopping at Thrifties because they have treated like they are doing a good job, and unlike Savon, who I was a loyal shopper for before, did not resist giving their employees a pay increase and sick pay. F Savon Foods for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
so
went to the market this morning, and they've been doing the
the
like
market's
one.
very good as well.
Yeah, they've been doing the one-way lines stuff too, but
It seems really good.
it's tricky. It's tricky. I found out that I don't shop in a very regulated manner. I tend to go all over the place as I think of things. It's hard to get into the mentality of like buying things in the right order.
I have a pattern that I've always followed whenever I've gone to Superstore, and because it's like I need to find the most efficient trip through the store, so I'm going to do it this way, and I've always done it, and it's a very good pattern in my head. It is the long snake, and so when I see people walking around and grabbing a thing and then grabbing another thing and then grabbing another thing, it's kind of like you crossed your path 6 times. Like, why wouldn't you just go down an aisle and see if you need something? Because over time, if you shop here all the time, you'll remember that you'll need these things as you hit the aisles. Like, it's kind of the inculcated thing, right? But anyway.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
that's shopping.
Yeah.
That's not what this show is about.
No.
For those of you who haven't seen this show before, it doesn't always start with a discussion about current shopping situations. But you know what? That's what's on our mind these days. Because what this is this is ChillPoint. This is if you've seen our CheckPoint show on YouTube, where we talk about video game news and stuff. We also now we used to talk about all the other news and stuff at the same time as we filmed it, and we filmed it live because of the current situation. We cannot film the show live, but we still want to talk about video game news in a more sort of casual way than just the stories that we have. So we have this chill point, which we can talk about things that either are going to be seen in the checkpoint that's going to be coming up tomorrow, or things that maybe didn't make it into the checkpoint just because we couldn't think of a funny joke about it or figure out how to write it properly. And something else we've been doing just lately is doing kind of a, I guess you'd call it like a table read of some of the stories that will be in the checkpoint when we film that. So maybe we can start with that one now. Kathleen, and you were saying you were running some stories this morning.
Yeah.
Do you want to? I don't know. Is the first story?
Okay, so the first story
yours?
Graham wrote, the second story Beige wrote, the third story Beige wrote, and then I
Rewrote.
rewrote. You asked for. You're like, someone please help me with this. I didn't just go and be like.
I know. No, I had said this needs to be cleaned up because there's a good nugget here, and it needs to be cleaned up. So I want to be clear about that. It's not like
Yeah. So then I want to say
like this is good, but it needs to be completely different.
Well, here's the deal. Then Graham rewrote it again after I was done.
Oh,
I mean, it's a shame because like obviously usually when we're
It's like
we
Exquisite Corpse.
used to all get together at the office obviously, and we're all sitting in the production studio on computers on Google Doc and kind of throwing ideas back and forth and things, and you can still do that sort of a collaborative thing to some extent, but it's not nearly as sort of easy to collaborate on things. Sometimes it does work better to sort of one person write it and then somebody else takes that and adapts
Also,
it.
It's last night was not a good night for anyone to be writing with each other. I don't think it just did
No.
not really come together.
No, Graham and I were just both really tired because Graham yesterday did a Play It Forward stream, came home, did a writing meeting, helped me put injections in our cat, and then did another 3-hour stream. So he was just like, by the end of the day, he was like, I'm very tired. And I was like, I am also really tired. I've had no energy. I've just been like sleeping poorly, so nobody wanted to write anything. So this morning I was like, "Hey Penelope, after you eat breakfast, you get to watch cartoons while Mummy works." And I felt like the 1980s
Oh yeah.
power parent of my dreams.
Then the one following our group effort is Graham had started this. I had seen that, and then the last one. I don't know who wrote the last one.
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that was me this morning.
All right. Well, we'll do the table read here. The people reading the stories now might not necessarily be the people reading the stories in the actual checkpoint that we record. But sure. Do you want to?
Can I make a suggestion that we
Yep.
Kathleen Beige, Kathleen Beige, Kathleen? Because then everybody can read the stories that they wrote for the most part.
That sounds pretty good.
Good to me. So you want to start then, Kathleen?
Yeah, sure.
Hey.
Last week, we reported that Riot's anti-cheat software Vanguard was invading your ring, and they're not taking these concerns sitting down, which is hard to do with a compromised ring. Riot has put up a $100,000 bounty on HackerOne to prove that there is any usable vulnerability with Riot Vanguard operating in your system's kernel level. There are other tiers of bounty if keyboard warriors can find different, lesser exploits of Vanguard, but the $100,000 is for the big bugs, and is Riot basically saying, "Oh yeah," is Riot the $100,000 is for the big bugs, and is Riot basically saying, "Oh yeah, prove it." My favorite part of the bounty posting is the part where Riot says, "Well, this kind of research would ordinarily be against the end user agreement. If you find an exploit and tell us, we'll consider it an authorized use. If you find something and don't tell us, you're in for a world of pain."
So
I was very impressed with the idea of like, we're going to put up a bounty for proving there's ways that this can screw you over because we need to know.
Yeah, so basically, they want people to prove that either there are no ways to screw people over using the kernel thing, or the ways to screw people over are worth more than $100,000.
Yeah,
to the right
there's
bidder.
that too. It's funny because the take on this of like, it's looking. The way this is the way this comes out is like, if there's any usable vulnerability with Riot Vanguard operating your system's kernel level, it's like, okay, what you've put the bounty up for is just for Vanguard. It's not for anything else that is not the concern of Riot, right? Like, it's like, we need you to, like, it's like, because that's not the only other way this is a problem, but is the only part that Riot's actually responsible for. If there's a bug in the Microsoft kernel, that's not Riot's problem, is it?
Well,
Correct.
I mean,
But they want you to look into that so that people can start sealing those too. But it's like, yeah, so
it's weird, like, because often the way these sort of vulnerabilities express themselves is, in the interaction between different things. It's like maybe the Vanguard thing is totally fine, and this other, a driver for like some webcam you have is also totally fine. But there's some weird interaction between, they're both trying to access the same address space, and there's some vulnerability that when you're using both at the same time that causes a problem, right? It's like,
yeah, it's very like, as people are saying in chat, it's like bug bounties are normal. This is a thing that, I mean, HackerOne is a place where you go to find out if there's a bounty for something that maybe you are interested in as a programmer or security professional. And so, like, everyone has bounties for this kind of stuff. Riot getting in on the game is, in a way, it's very responsible, I think. Like, for a thing that's like, that everyone feels not really good about having to install if they want to play this game. It's like, this is the most responsible they can be. And God, it's such a shitty position to be in, to be having to do this in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they don't want to spend millions of dollars developing anti-cheat software.
Yeah.
But, all right, you want to do the next one here?
Yes. There's been a rash of Nintendo account hijackings in recent weeks, and while no one is quite sure why this is happening, Nintendo is doing their best to help affected users. Okay, maybe not their best, maybe just doing. But first, let's explain what's going on. If you owned a Nintendo DSi, 3DS, or Wii U, you probably signed up for a Nintendo Network ID. This isn't a Nintendo account. I mean, it is a Nintendo account, but it's not the Nintendo account. Except that it was. But now it's not. The Nintendo account is now the Nintendo account. And when you signed up for a Nintendo account, you probably linked your Nintendo Network ID. The reason you had a Nintendo Network ID was to buy and download things from the Nintendo eShop. That Nintendo Network ID probably didn't use a secure password because that's how we were 10 years ago. And it definitely doesn't have two-factor authentication because, woo, were we dumb. But it is a backdoor to your Nintendo account, which could have PayPal or eShop funds attached to it. Now, this seems like a pretty big hole. So what's Nintendo doing about it? Well, according to Ars Technica, not much. Nintendo sends out new account sign-in emails to alert people when a new device signs into their account. But they don't mention that there's a chance this new sign-in is due to an old, easily compromised, certainly forgotten Nintendo Network ID. So how do you seal this hole? Easy. Dig out your 3DS or Wii U that you definitely didn't resell or give to a younger cousin, plug it in, then log into the Nintendo Network ID settings. You remember your password, right? It was your secret high school crush? Now, change the password to something way stronger than Mackenzie spelled with a Y, and you know what? Just to be even safer, go log into your Nintendo account right now and set up two-factor authentication. If you're not buying any more 3DS games, you should also unlink your Nintendo Network ID from your Nintendo account. And hell, we're on a roll, so go log into every account for every online service you're on and turn on two-factor. And go get a goddamn password manager so you don't have to remember this shit. And you've moved 5 times since you got a credit card, so call your bank and update your address. God, it's so much work being an adult.
Sorry, what that was me just changing one sentence in the Vanguard story.
And reflowing everything.
I know, I felt so bad about that. I just changed it so they put up a $100,000 bounty on HackerOne to see if Vanguard introduces any vulnerabilities while it's operating in your system's kernel level to make that a little bit more
clear,
because I stumbled over it while I was reading it. So
I don't think anyone noticed that I stumbled.
Oh, I felt really bad.
But yeah, this Nintendo stuff. I mean, I guess it's actually the Vanguard thing and the Nintendo thing are sort of slightly related in that they're both about security and the dangers of sort of like this idea of having, the reason why this is a problem with the Nintendo thing is because there's this weird legacy aspect to it, where you had this ID, and the article I was reading was saying it's like not only, was this a long time ago and people were probably young and might not have made good passwords, but also this was back when there wasn't a web interface for it. So you had to put the password in on your 3DS. So you probably were inclined to make it a short password because you had to like tap it out.
I mean, like, at least you got to tap it out, though. Like, it wasn't like I have to go over 5 and hit a button, I have to go down 3 and hit a button, I have to shift and do this. It's like, no, you also, if you're making purchases, you wanted to try to remember the password. And it nailed me last night, actually, because when I did this, I logged into my 3DS to change it. I have my 3DS right here still, actually. And
wow.
I had to log in to change my password because I'm like, I need a much harder password to remember. And I got there and it says, please tell me your password. And I was like, oh, right. And you need that. So I had to go through some things to remember what my old Nintendo Network ID password was. And I figured it out. And then I'm going to go a way better one.
Say it wasn't Mackenzie spelled with a Y?
It wasn't. I never knew anybody named Mackenzie. My high school crush wasn't named Mackenzie. It's hard to think of a name that's spelled weird that's also unisex. Yeah. For anyone asking as well, because I did see this come across in chat, it's like, what if I don't have a cell phone? How do I do two-factor? A lot of companies, a lot of companies will say, oh, get Google Authenticator and do that. Well, you don't need Google Authenticator. You need generally any application, any password manager application that authenticates using what they call TOTP, which is time-based one-time password, where they're those 6-digit codes that expire after 30 seconds. You can get anything that will. There's lots of different apps that will work that way. Like 1Password, I use that on my phone, but you can use that in a web browser. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. You don't need to have a cell phone to do it. All the SMS stuff, that's different, and we can talk about that later.
And if you can't do two-factor, you can at least make a good password that is as hard as possible to guess.
Yeah, then you definitely need a password manager because you won't be able to guess it either.
But yeah, I'm kind of, and this also brings up the problem that Nintendo has with like naming things very sort of generic names. Like your Nintendo account is your Nintendo account, which is a specific thing, is also a Nintendo account, which is a general class of things.
Yeah,
I think for the actual story, we'll have to be we have to be precise about when to use air quotes and when not.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll need something on the screen or something just to illustrate when it's a Nintendo account and when it's your account that is with Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right, Kathleen, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there'll be a picture associated with this, but for now, theater of the mind. This is Raymond. He's a heterochromatic, soft boy-looking cat friend, and he can become one of your residents in Animal Crossing New Horizons, if you're lucky, or if you've got the money. You see, Raymond is just one of a handful of highly sought-after villagers in such high demand that enterprising island managers are running elaborate services devoted to the sale of rare and exotic animals. Players who have these dream villagers or dreamies on their island are asking prices as high as 400 Nook Miles tickets, the equivalent of 800,000 of the game's earnable but very slowly Nook Miles currency, in return for being allowed to come to their island and talk these villagers into moving, even going to lengths such as barricading the villagers in their homes so prospective buyers can assess the merchandise without yet being able to influence their travel plans. I'll repeat that. There are Animal Crossing black market Discord servers where players can pay ludicrous prices to entice desirable villagers to come and live on the remote island they run. Damn it, Animal Crossing is supposed to be a bucolic fantasy paradise that teaches us about the perils of homeowner debt, capricious floral genetics, and unregulated stock trading, not trafficking.
I love that no one seems to, everyone's like, what does it matter, right? They're all virtual. It's like,
no.
Do you not see the moral quandary?
But it's the line between, oh man, that character is great. I want to, I wish they would be in my, I wish they would be on my island.
Yeah.
There isn't a very, as soon as enough people have that, there's a market there, and people are like, okay.
There's 800 villagers, too, so your chance of getting are low.
I definitely read the wrong story, so you can read this Fallout 76 story.
You bet.
But it's it's definitely what I like about it is it's not even like, okay, yes, you want to have Raymond in your town, pay me 400 Nook tickets and you can take Raymond will go with you. If you pay the money, you then have the opportunity to then entice Raymond to your town, right?
Yeah, because you can go and talk to Raymond and invite him. You have to have room on your island to begin with, so hopefully you've thought through that much. But you can talk to Raymond and hopefully invite him to come live on your island, but that's no guarantee that he's going to do that the next day. He might just decide he doesn't want to do that. And you might also get screwed. Because if Raymond doesn't move, and the person selling Raymond is like, I didn't move to your island, I guess, not giving your shit back. It's like, well, I gave you your shot. That's what you're paying for.
So here's the thing, right? Like I don't even know how to do that because like wouldn't you need to talk to a villager when they were thinking about leaving?
Yeah,
And
there's
wouldn't you
a
need to have an open space on your island? And if you have an open
yes.
space on your island, like just a person moved in the next day when I had that.
Yeah,
Annabelle left and the next day Sylvia showed up and she'd come from another island that I had visited, but I hadn't talked to her on that island.
weird.
So it's quite a sophisticated operation to actually get this working.
There are ways to I guess if you were talking to if you build the plot, like, so if you haven't built a plot for someone to live in yet, and then it's like, okay, well, I have an available space but I haven't built the house plot. I think you can build the house plot, go talk to the person that is waiting for you, and then it'll be like, oh, I guess that shit will line up and then they will come live on my island. So it's and yeah, they have to want to leave, and I think that's the idea. Is it's like they'll say they want to leave, and then it becomes a very fast process of, okay, bring me all these Nook Miles tickets and do this and do that, and I'm like, you can only carry how much? 40 things at a time, which means you're making 10 trips to this person's island with 400 Nook Miles tickets, and that's the other thing. 800,000 Nook Miles, like I have 153,000 Nook Miles,
Hmm.
and I've been playing for 30 days and I've been doing a lot of the things that you do, and I only have 153. So you're like, how does anyone get 400 Nook Miles tickets? And you're getting them because people are demanding them as tips to be able to come to your island and sell their turnips because you have a good price. And they've become kind of the easily acquired additional currency, because bells mean nothing anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone can get. I have 15 million bells. It took me 2 weeks, or it took me a week of doing the trading to acquire 15 million bells. And I'm just like, this is not a thing that. So it's like, what is a thing that has value tied to it that's really hard to raise? Nook Miles tickets. So then you have to go out and grind for Nook Miles tickets. And in fact, in the story where the person was talking about, oh, I wanted to get Raymond on my island, they got Raymond specifically so they could trade it for another character. It's a deer with stars in her eyes. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, it's.
So, and I am I correct in thinking that there's no actual like way of turning, you can't buy Nook tickets for like real money, right?
No.
No.
I mean, well, you could probably go onto eBay and buy some, I'm sure. People are probably like, I'm selling 100, I have 100 Nook Miles tickets and I'm
But there's
selling
no
them.
like in-app purchases for it.
That's correct. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you cannot exchange actual currency with Nintendo to acquire extra things for this game.
That's
Sam Wong
good,
says,
anyway.
my interest in playing this game has started to decline with each news story. All of this is add-ons that people are complicating the game
Yeah.
with. The game doesn't have any of these things. This is just people making it ridiculous.
Yeah, like the whole turnip economy thing is just based on the fact that if you have friends that want to tell each other your prices, that's great. And it's fine. Like, the only reason I have as many bells as I have is because I was like, I just don't want to be in a position of not being able to build a bridge or move something a square to the left. Like, don't worry about that. The game is not meant to be played in this way at all.
Yeah.
But I do like just it's such a mobster kind of thing. It's like, all right, here's the plan. You give me 400 Nook Miles, and I will make an introduction to Mr. Raymond.
Yeah. I think people want that many Nook Miles tickets because they're looking for rare flower islands.
That would make sense. Well, it's also like, I think it's a little bit like Bitcoin, where it's like, why do you want Bitcoin? Well, because Bitcoin's worth something. Well, why is Bitcoin worth something? Because we all agreed it was worth something.
Well,
And it's like, Bitcoin's a hard thing to get, so therefore the value of a Bitcoin increases. And it's like, okay, well, Nook Miles tickets are not hard to get, but that many Nook Miles tickets is hard to get. So it means something all of a sudden.
to be honest, like if you've got a multiplayer game, like especially a massively multiplayer game that doesn't have a currency in it, or a currency that can be easily traded between players, they will make it. Players will invent it. Like I remember, I think it's Diablo and Path of Exile and like different things that weren't really set up with an economy. The players created an economy by like they found an item that is a common item that people keep. Stone of Jordan rings or whatever. Yeah, people they find an item that's relatively common that they can easily trade back and forth, and that turns into the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because that's definitely like how caps in the Nook in the Fallout universe, caps becoming adopted as a thing is because there were bottle caps everywhere, weren't there? And you
Mm-hmm.
could just be trading caps back and forth because they
But
last a long time and there's a finite amount of them because they're not really making too many more, and now it
Yeah.
becomes currency.
Mm-hmm.
This is
I
just really the feeling of how like it's very much the failure of capitalism things keep coming out because people are like, it'd be a great idea is rare and exotic animal trafficking, and it's like, why was that your first thoughts?
I
you don't
mean,
have to do it.
It's true, but why are people thinking that's a thing that I definitely want to do? And I'm like, oh my god, I thought we solved these problems
in some ways,
morally.
in some ways, it's not like a failure of capitalism.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the problem is somebody wants Raymond, somebody else doesn't have Raymond, somebody has Raymond and doesn't want him. It solves that problem, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Uh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
let's
The
next-
Thromborax did say that Animal Crossing it's the single player mileage may vary because it's very much designed to be played socially with your friends. But if you don't have any friends playing Animal Crossing, boy, do I have a solution for you. Go to the Loading Ready Run Discord. There is an extremely active and organized Animal Crossing channel. Those people are probably will probably become your friends very quickly. They're a delight. And everybody's working hard to improve and share recipes and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
and
But if
it's
you
one
do
of-
want to play it by yourself on your own and have very little interaction with people,
You can.
it's okay. And because the game is kind of you can experience it all on your own. And I was doing a lot of that when I first started playing the game. It's just I want to just do these things by myself, and that's cool. So
and if you want to see cool Animal Crossing stuff, maybe get some ideas for your own island. We've got a couple of Animal Crossing Island tour streams that Kathleen has been running.
Yeah,
And,
we're gonna
do some more too. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do another one on Sunday. Sunday afternoon seems to be a good time for people. So that will be me and Cameron and friends. So anyhow, let's get to our next story.
all right.
Beige, the
Yeah.
Fallout 76 story.
Fallout 76 has had a rough ride since its initial release, but Bethesda has dutifully kept polishing this turd, and the game's player base has inexplicably kept coming back to be shit on. The game's most recent expansion, Wastelanders, finally added NPCs to the game, and these might be the most realistic post-apocalyptic companions yet, because if you die during one of the new event quests, your NPC allies may end up taking your best stuff and keeping it for themselves. Rare guns, all your ammo, the works. Developers at Bethesda have acknowledged on Reddit that they're still working on quashing this bug, and everyone is being warned to be careful, which I will also assume includes not mentioning it when you respawn and see your AI buddies threatening you with the same minigun you lost after that fight. Maybe this is why Fallout 76 didn't have NPCs at launch. Bethesda knew they couldn't control them.
I like. I think it was in the article, or somebody was like how the sort of the realization of what was going on. It's like, you die and then like your stuff isn't with your body, or you lost your stuff. It's like, that's weird. I wonder where all my stuff is. And then there's NPC being like, hey, look at this new minigun I got. It's
Yeah.
like that's completely unrelated to your problem.
Where did you get that minigun? Oh, it fell off the back of a vertibird.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Also, why are you English?
But yeah, why did they? Why do the AIs have the ability to steal from people?
That's the thing, right? Like, that's what I can't figure out. I'm like, did somebody add code to do it? But why would you even do that? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, being able to pick up weapons from like ammo from like looted enemies sounds like loot enemy body sounds good. Maybe it's just loot anybody.
Right, they forgot to tag bodies that are that are
if
players.
corpse then loot, and it's like, there we go.
Yeah. All right. One last story. Going to a concert and seeing live music is great, except during a pandemic. So, in an attempt to still be able to connect with their audiences and make money, musicians are eyeing up online worlds as virtual concert venues. And yes, musicians have been playing online concerts for a while, but usually you'd get the likes of Marshmello, who's a big name, but isn't like the biggest name, and is also pretty online as far as musicians go. But all that has changed. This week, Travis Scott, one of the most popular and successful musicians in the world right now, is playing in Fortnite tonight. 100 Gex and Charlie XCX are playing in the Minecraft Festival Square Garden tomorrow night. And this Saturday, Idols and Pussy Riot are playing the punk version of Square Garden, Block by Block West. We all know what this means. King Gizzard, there's 7 of you and there's 1 of me, so it's time for an Animal Crossing concert. Just let me know and I'll terraform you an amphitheater.
Can't you only have like 10 people? You can only have like 10 people over to your island, right?
It'll be
so
like
it would
one of
just
those
be like a
little
private
house
concert.
concerts.
Yeah, but I could broadcast that, right?
Oh yeah, it's true. But there's been, like you're saying, Marshmello, and there's been some stuff which if I recall, because I remember doing stories about it on CheckPoint, that they've really pulled out all the stops in the past in terms of like it's not just like playing the music and then the avatar like does the thing. They've been doing like, special things for getting everybody to like jump at the same time and fire their guns in the air and do all sorts, like trying to actually sort of making use of the video game aspect of it.
Yeah, for those of you, Travis Scott released an album called Astro World last year, which was tremendously popular. Was like, I think, one of the #1 selling albums of the year. Got like one of the tracks from that album got into like the top 100 Billboard chart of the decade. I listened to it and I thought it was boring, to be completely honest with you, because it's like mainstream hip hop. But like Travis Scott is like several like star tiers above Marshmello, who is like sort of like a lesser Deadmau5. You know what I mean? Like Marshmello's not unpopular, but like he's also like does YouTube stuff and like so he's like, one of the more online musicians.
He's a guy who wears a giant mask and DJs.
Yeah.
That's also Deadmau5. Yeah.
Yes, he was inspired by Deadmau5.
It makes a lot of sense then, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard thing about having a gimmick and then somebody else coming along and being like, I like that as a gimmick. I'd like to do the same thing. I have done that. So, yeah.
Great for music advice. Not good for food advice. Marshmello, it's just the lower tier Deadmau5.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Thunderbird 32. Marshmello was on WWE not too long ago. That's the tier that Marshmello's at. He's gettable for the WWE. Who's like willing to pay, but not like top dollar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I'm not trying to shit on Marshmello, but like, I would put him as like sort of a C list in like international like super popular musicians, whereas like Travis Scott is definitely A list.
Okay.
All right, that's a preview of some of the stories. Now, stories might be reworked, changed a little bit, and there'll be graphics and all sorts of things to go with them. But those are some of the stories that we are going to be doing in the episode of CheckPoint that will be coming out tomorrow. But let's talk about some of the stories that we didn't talk about in the CheckPoint. Yeah. For instance, I was not aware how completely not broken, but like modded Mario 64 is, to the point where somebody has made a version of one of these like demakes of Super Mario Odyssey in Super Mario 64. Including like adding the Hattie thing and allowing you to like take control of people.
Cappy.
Hattie, isn't it?
Cappy.
Oh, Cappy, whatever. Okay.
Yes.
Cappy.
That is weird though, and that's actually pretty cool because the idea of like, that means you get to take control of enemies in the game.
Especially since it's it's not a computer game. Obviously, it's for N64. I mean, obviously, I'm I assume they're doing this in an emulator, but still, it's not what you would call really conducive to modding, right?
No, I mean, yeah, you'd have to know an awful lot about the engine it's programmed in, I guess, too. And though my understanding is Mario 64, the engine that uses is J, the letter J, and it's kind of the basis for an awful lot of Nintendo's games over like since the N64 era. A lot of their 3D games are all based on the J engine and modifications to the J engine. So I guess maybe there is a lot you can learn about it. I just even the idea of patching a game like this to do different things is still kind of boggles my mind that it's like you don't have access to any of the source code. How are you doing a thing that's not meant to have hooks in it like this? But
Well, I remember. I think this was probably more a couple of years ago, but I know there's an online multiplayer version of Mario 64 that's like a hacked. I mean, at a certain point, I would think that it would be easier just to like remake all the levels of Mario 64 in Source Engine or something, and then you have it as a computer thing, and then you can just do whatever you want to it, rather than continually hacking on the ROM. But so anyway, I always mark these kind of stories. Again, this there wasn't necessarily anything that we could do, but that was funny about this. But I'm just always intrigued by people modding, doing these like mods that are so completely subverting the original game.
yeah, it's always impressive.
And oh hey, speaking of subverting the game, WoW is going to add controller support, which seems like actually kind of a big deal. It seems like it would be hard because there's you have people are used to using like a ton of buttons,
Right.
all their different things.
So you're going to have to bind a lot of stuff to... Because I just assumed WoW has like a whole bunch of keys you use on the keyboard to do a lot of extra things. Like, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it can't... I hope we're not going to end up with one of these situations where it's like, where... Because there's the stuff, like, with first-person shooters, there's the distinct, like, are you using a controller or are you using mouse and keyboard? There's like a real tiers of those. So I hope we're not going to get into the thing where it's like, we're looking for a healer, but one that uses a keyboard and mouse. We don't want a healer in our party that's on the...
We want K/M healers only.
Yeah.
Neat though that in the community manager Randy Jordan on the Blizzard forums did mention by name that they wanted to use the Xbox adaptive controller.
Right.
So I can see why this is a thing, because it's like, oh, if we can do it this way, that's actually a good thing.
Well, and it's if you put the effort in place to refine the control system down so that it can be operated from a controller. Already, what you're doing is you're making it so that you can play the game with sort of a reduced number of inputs, which then can be translated into more sort of adaptive, whether even if it's not like a controller, but switches or whatever people are using in terms of adaptive controllers. So that's super neat. I am always in favor of more accessibility capabilities, especially for something like WoW or other MMOs where it's something that you can, somebody who might not have a lot of mobility can do with friends or meet people and do I mean, of course not all of us are kind of lacking in mobility at the moment, so the more people who could meet people online, the better. Mario Maker 2 has had a big update.
Version 3.
Version 3. So it's 2,
Mario
3.
Maker 2, 3.
Yeah. World 2.
World
Mario
2,
Maker
3.
World 2 at level 3. Which this article was talking about how great this update is which also makes him sad that apparently this is officially the last big content update. Presumably there'll be like bug fix updates. But they've added like overworld stuff, so you can literally basically like recreate the or the like Super Mario World style games where you're actually like going around and connecting a bunch of worlds together and making that as like a whole, I mean, effectively a whole game. I'm curious of whether somebody will actually just straight up make Super Mario World in this.
It's really,
I feel like you could. Like, I don't think there's anything
yeah.
Super Mario World does that it can't do.
It's definitely kind of interesting too that it's like, yeah, we have this whole designer for all the different for your different worlds where you get to, you know, lay down grass and paths, and you can add hills, and you can add all sorts of decorations. And I'm like, boy, they really into Animal Crossing. It's
I mean, not
go ahead.
everything in which you decorate stuff is Animal Crossing.
But what if it is? It's very like there's been a lot of additions, and in reading Kotaku's take, they're like, this is really cool that all this has shown up, except that why is this the last update? You're making so many additions that are kind of making us feel like there should be even more cool things that should be happening here. And it's and I'm like, it's fair. There's a whole bunch of like they've added a bunch of the Koopalings. They've added 7 Koopalings. They've added all the Koopalings.
Mm-hmm.
And they've also like added the new
all of
Super
the
Mario Brothers.
Koopalings but one.
Yeah, they've added the. Oh right, which one is missing?
I just that would be funny if it's just like, screw you, Lemmy, you can't come.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, yeah, they're all there, right? Because there's 7, and then the 8th world was Bowser, obviously. They added the Super Mario Brothers 2 mushroom from Mario USA, just to make this easier, so I don't have to explain myself. Where you get to when you jump on an enemy, you can actually pick up the enemy like you can do in Mario 2, and throw them around. And that's such a cool idea to be like, oh, by the way, we've added this new wrinkle to how you can play the game. And
there's also like a link thing, isn't that? That's not that was around. They added that a little while ago.
Yeah, in the previous one, right? The ideas of how this stuff. All the little changes they've been making and little additions, it's kind of like this is going to be the last one. It's like it does suck, but also Mario Maker hasn't sold 5 times the amount of the original Mario Maker on the Switch, right? It's like clearly this was going to be something they made. They were like, "This is really good. We're glad everyone's enjoying it," but it hasn't been like a huge success. So I think for them it's like, I think we've gotten as much as we're going to get out of this, and then we'll maybe release a Mario Maker 3 sometime in like a few years' time and add even more things to it. Sell it again to you, right?
I'm just surprised that they haven't released like that they don't release like curated level packs. Like because I mean that's basically, you know, what they're the idea of sort of basically taking all your level design and outsourcing it to your fans, right? Is this sort of joke about it. But obviously a ton of the levels suck because people just make levels and they're not necessarily good. But the idea of like taking really, really good, you know, some of the best Mario Maker levels, maybe, you know, going over them with the actual professional Nintendo designers, and then making something, just a structure to kind of attach them together, and maybe some sort of loose whatever passes for a storyline in a Mario game.
Yeah.
And then just like release it as like, you know, a little $10 thing. Like you could just keep doing that. I'm surprised that they haven't done those.
Yeah, especially because then you could do things like you could have highlights where it's like, here's a whole Mario Maker world thing we've designed around the top 8 contributors, the people who make the finest, kind of most interesting levels, and use that as an opportunity to highlight them as well, right? Like to be like, they've made these really cool things, we want to share them with you. Though it
Mhm.
might be a little weird to be like, you've made all this really cool stuff. Now we're going to sell it to somebody,
Yeah, I
and you
mean
get nothing
yeah,
except
I mean
notoriety.
the ethical way of doing it, I guess, would be figuring out some sort of actual like store, or not even a store, but some sort of way to compensate the people who actually created the levels. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least now there's a frog
I'm
suit.
I'm sure you, I I I don't know what the deal is, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's EULA stuff that basically makes it so they can take your levels and do whatever they want with them. But
Yeah. That's what I'd add.
Ugh. Probably. We should. Is that everything?
there's a few others
Because
here.
it's 1 o'clock, so I don't know how long we want to go for.
Yeah, I mean the next one's at the next stream's at 2, so
Yeah.
we can go for a little bit. Or there's just a couple more stories here.
Uh,
If that's okay, do you have to head out or?
I'm just really hungry. I haven't eaten anything yet.
Okay,
But
well,
I'll manage.
all
It's
right.
not
Well,
like I'm sitting on my ass all day. I don't need that. I don't need calories that badly.
Cover your
Um,
camera and go get something to eat.
No, that's fine. Valve confirmed the code leaked for 2 games, CS:GO and TF2, and then
And
they were
we
like, "Don't worry, there will be no problems for CS:GO." And everybody's like, "Hold on,
Everyone's like, "Oh, good. That doesn't." Wait a second.
what about TF2?" Oh no! And then like a couple days later, they're like, "Ah, it's probably fine for TF2 as well."
Oh, thank
So,
God. Okay.
Yeah.
the The theory is that while these leaks could be is quite serious in terms of like remote execution stuff, the theory is that this is not actually new stuff. So this is a leak that happened actually quite a few years ago that's just sort of been
Yeah.
reissued. So if for some reason you're running on the 2018 version of Team Fortress, then you should probably update. But you're probably okay at this point.
Yeah. Animal Crossing and other news, there's a bunch of events coming up. There's Earth Day, there's going to be a wedding event, and there's going to be a new Mystery Island, but very little is known about it, so we'll talk
Other than
about
it sounds like Rover is the one who's kind of giving you directions on it, which is kind of cool. We haven't seen Rover yet.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of NPCs that are yet to come to this game. There's a lot of rumors going around. There's like a data mine. We'll talk about that when we have some news to report. I don't think we're in any rush. There's not going to be no shortage of Animal Crossing stories.
It's what's interesting too is that it's like a lot of these things were things that people didn't know about, which is starting to make people think that either the data mining that people have been doing isn't as extensive as they think, or the updates themselves are what's adding all the new stuff to the game, which means the game has been designed with a ton of hooks for update content to come in and be added to it after the fact, which seems to be how a lot of people do that. So if you have a copy of the base game, you will probably find yourself unable to participate in a lot of time-themed events around the world if you don't update on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the trade-off between because people get mad when they find out that all the content that they have to wait for has been in the game the whole time. Right?
Yeah.
So you have to balance. Yeah, there's the balance there, but.
And it's like if you're not gonna get a chance to see the content anyway until the time happens because it has to do with the time of year, like wedding season in June. Then it's like, I guess it doesn't technically need to be there in the first place.
I do feel like with all the discussion,
It's banana bread.
yay!
Oh yay!
I feel like
Thank
with
you very much.
all the discussion that we had earlier about how desperate people are to acquire certain Animal Crossing villagers, I feel like adding in like wedding paraphernalia could be just asking for trouble.
Oh, you're gonna start marrying off your dreamies to each other. I have a feeling.
Yeah. Do we have
Lo-
arranged marriages in Animal Crossing?
A lot of people in chat are saying Graham is a wonderful husband, and I agree. I say that a lot when I'm streaming.
Breaking
So-
news.
Graham, a wonderful and supportive person who cares.
and has banana bread. Both of these things are important.
Well, technically, me and Penelope made the banana bread.
Oh.
All he did was cut it.
And put some butter on it, which is decadent, but good.
And I think just the one other story here. Is actually slightly related to Mario because Doom Eternal, which I haven't played, but is ostensibly a really great game. I really enjoyed Doom 2016, but I haven't got a chance to do Doom Eternal yet. But anyway, people who are speedrunning in the speedrunning community have found a secret area that has warps to different parts of the game, including like the end, which obviously can really help your speedrun. Which is very much, yeah, as I think Bij put in the comments here, very much like the the like secret warps in Mario 2 or 3.
I wish they had
even.
designed them to look like that. In fact, it would have been really funny, but
Apparently, like this is a developer thing.
yeah. And what's funny is that during the live stream where they were showing off the speedrun, because Games Done Quick is doing COVID relief speedruns right now from home, they invited devs for Doom Eternal to come in and watch the speedrun, and they get to see the transporter room, and they're like, you guys said you wanted to they basically go, oh my god, the transporter room, right? That they all
They're
knew
like,
about.
oh, oop. And they're like, oop. And I think there was one of the guys like, oops. It's like I was the one who asked for that because it's one of these things where when you're making games, I know I've heard stuff from like graphics people and also from like people doing the score or soundtrack and stuff, that it's like if you can't get to the part of the game that you're trying to test because it's too hard or because you don't have the time to actually like play the game properly, it's very difficult. So they often add in little things, but you're supposed to take them out.
It's and it's what's funny too is that it's like, okay, so now they've created this room that has teleporters to all the other like later levels in the game. That shaved off 3 minutes.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a lot more.
I would have been like, oh, we will just warp to the credits. And I was like, I really thought that was what was going to happen. Is like they took 3 minutes off the 24-minute, or there was a 24-minute record now, and I'm just like, oh my god. It's because you have to do, in order to access it, you have to do apparently a lot of stuff to get to it in the first place.
Right.
So it naturally slows you down because I think you have to set up a glitch to actually get there.
And it's an interesting. I mean, I would imagine that there's an interesting idea within the speedrunning community, right? Of course, everyone uses the warp pipes for like Mario speedruns, which is why the speedrun is like 5 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think they just got it under 4, maybe, or under 5. But anyway, everyone uses the warp pipes in Mario. That's part of the game or whatever. Speedrun, but it's like at what point is using like warps and things, like at what point is it like not cheating, but it's like I guess that's why you have different categories of speedruns. But it's like if you added a thing into the game that made it so you could jump to different areas, that wouldn't be a valid speedrun, obviously.
Right.
But the fact, because you found one that just happens to have been by mistake left in the game, it's totally valid for your run.
This is how Richard Garfield attended Doom Eternal.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Actually,
I don't know why we're asking him about it, but
I wonder if, though, now that the devs know it exists, that they'll be like, well, if it's in the game, we should probably skin it.
Well, it's very in
because
keeping
it's very
with,
austere.
but it's very in keeping with the Doom, the Doom sort of video gamey silliness that they they have the like old school Doom style secret areas. At least in Doom 2016, every level had an area that was like done in like pixel art.
Oh, cool.
Where you were like everything is 2D and so like I feel like it's they don't have like a huge problem with it. It's not like the game was super serious in the first place.
Yeah. That's it. That's everything. Like there's
I I think that's
Way more Animal Crossing news, but why?
I mean, like that's what like it is the current zeitgeist game, right?
They've sold 5 million copies digitally. That's the equivalent of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Like,
Wow.
I just
Apparently, the Final Fantasy VII remake also has just done gangbuster numbers, like 3.5 million copies digitally or something like that. Because it
Excellent.
turns out both of those games came out at a great time when people were really looking for something to do, had a lot more free time on their hands, couldn't do the things they were ready to do. Yeah.
I think with the Final Fantasy VII, I mean, hopefully that the how being so successful bodes well for doing the rest of it. But I feel like also people are with Final Fantasy VII remake in particular. People are like, oh, this is actually pretty good. This is like just that sort of everyone was ready for it to be like, oh, this is a shame. When it and they're actually like, oh, this is actually pretty good, and so everyone is surprised. Like it's weird. It's like the opposite of living up to expectations. Everyone was trying to keep their expectations low, and then it was actually pretty good, and people are like, oh, this is great. Now I have to get it.
Wow, Final Fantasy VII Remake has now beaten Spider-Man and God of War as the #1 selling PS4 game. It says LBX Annie in chat. And
Wow.
I would not be surprised if Animal Crossing is now the best-selling Switch game.
I think it's close. It's not the best selling, but it's very close to being the best selling. Because I'm pretty sure the last time we looked, it was either 1.5 million or 3 million physical copies sold worldwide with no numbers on digital. And then all of a sudden the thing came out that was like, oh, they sold 5 million digitally. And I'm like, if those numbers are correct, that's 6.5 to 8 million copies of this game have been sold in a month. And I'm like, I would love to see some actual, like, real, hey, here's the source for all these numbers, because I'm not seeing that in some of the places I've been checking, but...
Oh, why would Nintendo give you, like, any kind of official
right?
stuff?
You have to rely on the channel,
I
right?
mean, I think they're also it's also very much benefited by the fact that it's in the current situation they're unconstrained by the supply chain because they can sell it digitally.
But the only thing they can't sell right now is more Switches.
I bet if Switches weren't sold out, they would be selling more.
Okay, that I do have a news thing on, actually, I found out. Component purchases for Nintendo Switches have increased by 50% for some components. Nintendo is expecting to sell, or
Does that mean somebody else is buying them?
No. They've ordered up to 50% more of a component, but I don't know which components it is. So it could be because it could be like Joy-Con components. It could be like other things that are things that you make extras of. I'm not sure. Could just be buttons. Could just be sticks, because you're also going to need some of that stuff for other things. But Switch production is intended to go up by 10% of how many they made in 2019. Nintendo in 2019 made 22 million Switches.
Wow.
So if the expectation is to make another between 24 and 25 million Switches in 2020, these should be coming back into the channel. Kind of blows my mind that the demand is still that hot for, like, even just the improved version of a Switch, that it's like people are still like, we haven't bought all the Switches we want yet. We are still wanting to buy more Switches. So
Well,
Maybe the component that they are buying is joysticks, so they need to get 10% more because they're making more Switches, and also they've got to replace the joysticks
yes,
on all the other Switches.
that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of like, you said you need 50% more of X, but it could also be that they're ordering 50% more because they're like, we're ordering 10% more this year, and we're banking stuff to be able to make more of this later. There is a rumor that a new version of a Switch is also being prepared. Don't know what that even means.
Right.
I don't know if that means it's a Pro. I don't know if that means it's like the Animal Crossing limited edition. Nobody really knows what that means.
According to a Wikipedia list that Evil Badman provided us, Animal Crossing is the 9th best-selling Switch game of all time. It's
Wow.
been out for like a month.
Yep.
So it has 8.61 million. So it's probably going to overtake Super Mario Party and Splatoon 2 pretty quick here. Because then you have, because those are at 9.12 and 9.81 million respectively. And then number 6 is the Let's Go games, 11.6 million copies. Then after that, it's Pokemon Sword and Shield, combined 16 million copies, 16.06. Then Breath of the Wild, 16.34. Super Mario Odyssey, 16.59. Smash Brothers Ultimate, 17.68. And then the big granddaddy is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 22.96 million.
Wow. I would not have put Mario Kart at being the top. Interesting.
Mario Kart's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but it's like I wouldn't have put it above Smash.
I think it's because it's the one game where it's like we knew this was good, we all enjoy playing it, and it's, you might not be good at Smash, but you can at least be like, but I'm okay at Mario Kart and I have fun playing Mario Kart.
Oh, it was also bundled with a lot of Switches.
Oh, interesting.
So
Oh,
count those
bundles.
too. Okay.
They're including the ones that shipped with the Switch. See, I would like to see, I think if you take out the ones that shipped with the Switch, maybe you'd see Smash on top.
Yeah, I could see that.
And
That's our stories. I have
maybe
no
I'm
more
gonna have
to
to
talk.
get myself a Switch sometime when they're available again.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've gone from being a 1 Switch household to a 2 Switch household, and I'm sure a lot of other people have as well, right?
Yeah, us too. Yeah.
We picked up a light. Even Cam got a Switch, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's welcome people to have subscribed during the stream, because we want to thank you all for all the amazing support you've given us, both here on Twitch and on Patreon, and on YouTube through the YouTube
Memberships.
memberships. Yes,
I always forget that too. Yeah.
which is not on. If you're watching this on the Loading Radio Live channel, the YouTube memberships are on the Loading Radio Run channel. Anyway, thank you all for your support, and in all the many ways that you do. And in fact, I should mention, James let us know about this. We have we are less than 100, less than 75 followers away from 90,000 followers
Oh wow.
of our Twitch channel.
Wow.
So we only need 75 more followers. So if you aren't following the channel, please do, even if you can't subscribe. So that's super awesome.
Oh, and if you are subscribing to us in any way, including the Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, if you are finding it hard to make ends meet at this point, do not feel guilty about scaling back or even canceling your Patreon or anything that you're doing with us altogether. That's okay. You need to take care of you too. We're not going anywhere. We're doing good still. Everyone is managing to eat and pay their rent.
Yeah. And although we want to think that the Patreon has continued to be extremely successful thanks to your generosity. And we also want to thank the people who subscribed during this stream, starting with this person.
Wandering Goliath for 23 months. Ha! I'm on the left. I start.
Makes sense. Tax the rich, gifted by the Maricat.
Words to live by.
Yes.
Yes. When I first saw that, I was like, text the rich? What should we text?
Sex to the rich.
Wait, no, they probably want that.
Yeah. Underhill 33 is back for 43 months. Welcome back.
Hey, everybody. It's Isa the NG, who's been here for 57 months. Thank you so much.
TXC2 for 62 months. Welcome back, friend.
Loki892 back for 30 months. Welcome back.
Haven Yunde, 76 months. Thank you very much.
Space Potato 01 for 57 months.
Dandy Swag for 33 months. Welcome back.
Hey, everybody, it's Jovinius Maximus. They've been here for a maximal 39 months.
Lawrence 72 for
Diet
34
Coke.
months.
Sorry, Paul.
Lawrence 72 is Diet Coke.
Set off my Raider View vestibule thing. Lawrence 72 for Diet Coke. Hello, I'm Lawrence 72. Celeste Sadira for 17 months. Welcome back.
Oh, it's CJ, who's been here for 2 years. Thank you very much.
Orthiar for 1 whole year. Thank you so much.
Evil Inc. and Russian Brides. Clearly, I knew what we were reading about. Gifted by the Maricat. Thank you, the Maricat. Hello, Russian Brides.
Yes.
Somebody in chat says, lol, every time I pop into a lure stream, it's just people reading names like this. Well,
That's what they've all become now.
it's just us reading names and hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who doesn't mind cricket chirps? 21 months they've been here listening to this crap.
Look, it's
Kicking
not,
ass and reading names.
it's not our fault so many people subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, how about that?
Crumbler 64 for 14 months.
Captain Wolf for 16 months. Welcome back.
Congratulations on your promotion from Lieutenant Wolf. Des Ingold has been here for 13 months.
You just got dezinkled. Matthew Dennis MTG, or Matthew Den is MTG
Oh.
for 11 months.
Mayan Ruler 28 for 7 months. Welcome back. Yan.
John Romero has been gifted a sub by the Maricat.
Think that's actually him?
I hope so.
Oh.
I hope he comes to the channel.
Eliodare for 1 whole year.
Take my money, please. Gifted by the Maricat. We did. Thank you.
Max Volume says, it kind of sounds like you're reading graduation names. Rainbow Batsuit. Congratulations. Here's your diploma in internet memery.
This is your fault, 4. I don't know what 4 did, but it's your fault. Gifted by the Maricat. Thank you.
And thanks for 574 bits and the support from their parents who helped them get through this long 5-year degree. Lord Crusher, Pharaoh Benders 27, and Earthen 1. Doug Rads. How long did your degree take, Kathleen?
Mine?
Yeah.
A long time.
About 6 years for me, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, they do say that like university should be the best. Your undergrad should be the best 7 years of your life. Is like the stand-up comedy bit I heard. No, I went back and changed my major. I started out trying to get a history degree, and then I switched to a political science degree. So some of that stuff crossed over, but then I ended up doing a dual major because I was like,
Is he?
Yeah.
In order for me to get my business degree, I had to join the Faculty of Science. Then I could transfer into business. You had to take a year of what they called pre-professional, where you had to show that you belong at university in the first place. So that was cool, which is fine. My dad has a finance degree from the bachelor. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Finance, because Simon Fraser University never used to have a business program. So, yeah.
Well, anyway.
Good old SFU.
Laconic Lad says 11 years for me. They made me take a degree and leave.
Coming up at 2 o'clock, we have LRMTG. James and Adam are going to be doing the Ikoria sealed stuff. So that should be loads of fun. If you haven't got a chance, check out the Ikoria PPR event that is being, I believe it's going up on YouTube 1 section per day, just so we don't overwhelm people with a whole bunch of different videos. So check that out, and check out the stream at 2 o'clock. Tonight, it is our play it, or our long game me type thing of Grim Dawn, where Adam, Ben, and Corey are playing through their Grim Dawn adventure, which all what I've heard about it, it sounds like they've been appropriately ridiculous.
Should we call it Game It Longward?
Ooh.
I don't want to make a whole new intro for this, but
We'll see how long we're playing it, I guess.
And then on Friday, it's Friday night, not paper fight, where they're going to be playing more Ikoria stuff, I assume. But in this case, against each other instead of against random people on the internet.
but it's arena, like it's
Yeah, they will be playing. We are going to be. It'll be another arena one. We'll probably try to do another physical card game, another physical Magic stream sometime in the near future, for maybe the next Commander night or something.
Mm-hmm. And
And then on Saturday, Loading Ready Live. Yeah,
oh yes, right.
yay. We're
we
doing
have-
it.
We have some plans that hopefully will work. But whatever the case, something's going to happen. And then on Sunday, Kathleen is going to be wandering around other people's Animal Crossing islands.
Yeah, we're going on another island tour. At some point, I think we'll actually give this stream a name because it seems to be popular enough that we'll run it back at least a few more times while everybody's super hype about Animal Crossing. Who doesn't do you remember like those like home snooping shows like
Cribs?
Cribs or like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous and stuff
Oh,
like
Jesus,
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just kind of nice to see what people are doing with their little plot of land. So, all right.
And then Rhythm Cafe on Sunday as well.
Oh, is this the new Hatsune? Yeah, I think it's the new Hatsune Miku game.
Hatsune Miku.
I think.
Hatsune Miku Future Tone.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Heather was telling me she was playing the new Hatsune Miku game that was on Switch, where it's basically the Mega Mix, which I think is a port of one that was on PS4, and she was playing it and she gets completely screwed up by the X button on the Switch is not in the same place as the X button that is on PlayStation,
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
and so
That's the
they
worst.
they thought of that, and you can play the game with the PlayStation button markers in the game. So if you have the muscle memory where you need to actually play and just need that, like it's like reading music, right? Then it's like, oh, I know where I have to hit for that. Even though I'm hitting the B button, I know that that's the X, right? So
Oh, that's so good because the PlayStation Switch control, like it messed me up.
Xbox. Oh,
Like-
I hate the whole Xbox thing too. Yeah.
Pentelecia 180 had a great name for the bonus stream that Corey and Adam are doing, the long distance game.
Ah, yes,
Nice.
that's good.
All right. We're going to go away, but stay tuned at 2 o'clock for LRMPG. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. We will end the checkpoint that is the stories that we did for this will be up tomorrow, so you can check that out. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, everybody.